Okay, having completed the macro level database with the vote counts and the descriptions, now we're ready to go get the micro level data, which is the individual members of Congress and their yays and nays. Now, instead of going through and recording all those, which we could do, we're gonna take advantage of some data that's available out there on the web from VoteView. This is Poole and Rosenthal, which we're going to study later in the semester, and they also provide us the information on the preference points or the preference locations of these different members of Congress. Out there they have a data tab, so we'll go to the data tab, and we're going to be looking for specific information about votes members cast. So we're going to be looking for this particular link, and so you just click it, and you're going to have this opportunity to download some information. So I'm looking particularly for the House in the 107th Congress, right? And so that's the set of data that I need to do, and it's going to give me all the votes in the 107th Congress. And just leave this in a CSV, that's comma delimited file, and go ahead and download it at this time, and it'll create this it'll create this Excel database down here, or this Excel sheet. So, excuse me, if you go through and you pull up the Excel sheet, you'll actually see how this data is recorded. What we have is we'll have the Congress, the House, and then the roll call number. And so this is a really tall data sheet because you go from roll call 1 all the way down to roll call 900 and whatever else, right? And so in the House, you're going to have 435 members, and so you have 435 replications for every 946 votes. This is a really tall data file. And so what we have to do here is we have to go through and identify where our actual votes are and get rid of the rest of them. And so to begin with this, let's just start and save this to the desktop. So I'm going to save this to the desktop, and I'll just keep the same House vote, whatever else it is, and we'll just put it out there. Okay, good. So having saved my comma delimited file to the desktop, now I'm ready to import this into another package, and that's going to be SPSS, which we're going to use to manipulate some data for us. And so in this, you can go to, if you're in the lab, you'll need to kind of go to the lab to get SPSS, but go to the lab, and if you just click on all the programs, you'll come down, and this should be listed under IBM SPSS statistics. It's in its own little envelope down here, but if you click on it, you'll see this kind of statistics 24, and it should pull right up. And so the entrance of this looks about like this menu that's popping up right now. Okay, so this is the menu for SPSS, and we don't really need this initial thing, but we're going to be working with this one. So let's put this up here, and we'll just make it full size. And it looks a lot like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's a lot more powerful. The first thing that we have to do is we have to import some data, and so let's kind of just do this. You can either hit File or this particular folder. Go up here. It's already pointed towards the desktop, so what I'm going to do is put the CSV in there to say go look for this particular file. There's my set of votes, House 107 votes.csv, and then I'm going to open it, and it's going to run through an import. It's going to run through this import process. Now it'll already be set up pretty much, so you can just run through these, but I'll just kind of explain what they are. This is just asking whether it's a predefined format. This isn't, but it's comma delimited, so you'll have delimited. Click delimited. Our variable names in the top, yes, and the first one, so you'll see them right here at the very top. What is the decimal symbol? Is just a period. That's okay. If you go through, the first case of data begins on line 2. Each line represents a case. All of these cases, how many do you want to import? All of them. And then just kind of run through. The key thing here is the delimiter. This is comma delimited, so if you put the comma in, then you get this kind of series of votes. Notice it put the labels at the top, and then it put the actual numbers across. And then if you just kind of follow, all of these will have kind of automatic, but they'll come in whatever data. You don't have to worry too much about that. But if you wanted to change it to like string or numeric or date or time, you can do that from this import menu. If you run this through, it'll say, okay, you've successfully defined the format. Do you want to do it? And so just finish, and the thing will run. You'll get this output file. So SPSS runs everything in sort of an output or a log file. Your graphs and everything will go in here. And then you also will have the data file up here. So let's see what we got in terms of the data file. So if we look at the data, this is exactly what we had in terms of that spreadsheet. And we go from roll call number 1 all the way down to whatever that last one was. So the last one in the house was 984 for this one. And again, there's 435 observations for each one of these, and so thus we have like 40,000 or 400,000 different observations in this data. It's a lot of data. But in this data is the information that I need, and so I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to run you through how to identify or target your votes.